Is Congress going to pass UFO whistleblower protection? This is huge news and very possibly going to happen in the near future. In a recent interview with Linda Moulton Howe, Chris Mellon sat down and talked about all of this, and it's a great interview. I encourage you to check it out. I'm going to talk about a little segment of it. By the way, this is Cosmic Road, where I discuss UFOs in the paranormal. Please get in here. Please hit like. Please subscribe. And if you hit subscribe, please hit the bell to be notified of future videos. And as I'm going through the story, please comment below and let me know what you think about all of this. Okay, so whistleblower protection for UFO witnesses is something that has been bandied about a lot recently, and it looks like there's a lot happening behind the scenes to actually make this happen. And it looks like it's going to be part of it's going to be included in a budget bill, the Defense Authorization Act, I believe, at the end of the year. I think that's how they've been able to get these other UFO programs like the U.A.P. task force signed into being. So, that seems to be an effective way to do this. I think they call that a rider. And, whatever works, bring it on. I would love to see UFO whistleblower protection. And, it's great to hear this from Chris Mellon himself, because he's a Washington, D.C. guy. He's come from an old moneyed family in D.C., and he has a lot of connections and friends in D.C. He was one of the highest ranking, I want to say it was the third highest ranking intelligence official in the Pentagon. And if I'm wrong on that, please correct me. But yeah, so he's way up there. He's got a lot of friends. And even though he's outside of the government now, he is still influencing it very strongly. Easy for you to say, right? And he actually helped write. It is my understanding that he helped write the wording for the bill for the U.A.P. The amendment for the U.A.P. task force to be signed into being. So I strongly believe that he had some influence or even direct input into the new wording for the new program, RO or Arrow. And he calls it Arrow. And since it's probably his program in large part, I'm going to go with his pronunciation on that. But without further ado, let's hear what Chris has to say about UFO whistleblower protection.
We're now in a position, hopefully, to finally get to the bottom of this. They're mandating a document review. The General Accounting Office is being directed to go back and review U.A.P. documentation from the services all the way back to World War II. The legislation says 47.
And that today, this non-disclosure agreement amendment, would it actually allow people who were military and they've signed NDAs about a UFO encounter, would it allow them to come forward and talk about what
My understanding is that's its intent and purpose, yes.
Retroactive.
Yeah, not to talk to the press about it, but they would be able to go to the U.A.P. office, oversight office, and talk to them about it, or they would be able to approach Capitol Hill without fear that the Air Force would prosecute them or discharge them under, dishonorably or something like that.
Okay, so that's one thing a little more clear, that if this amendment joins in the Authorization Act and it becomes law, then if somebody had signed an NDA before it became law,
correct,
it would be retroactive.
That is my understanding, correct.
All right, but they might not be able to stand in front of my camera and talk to me.
The Act doesn't say that. I mean, it doesn't unilaterally declassify or attempt to everything related to UAPs. What it attempts to do is establish a procedure within official channels for people in the services and agencies to share information with the office that is now in charge of integrating, collecting all the information within the Defense Department. And then there are some other provisions as well, as you were quoting. And of course, this still has to go to conference. There's different language in the House and Senate. We're not seeing the final version yet. This may change in the conference process when the House and Senate sit down to go over the language together. I know that there are some concerns bubbling up from not surprisingly, from some people in the executive branch who have issues about how this might be implemented and play out. So there's a discussion going on. But soon we'll know. It's not long before we should see the final version of this legislation, and then we'll be able to answer your questions precisely and authoritatively.
Timeline. We are close to October. We're in September. And if you were just outlining what you think is probable, what do you think will be the timeline going forward on this amendment?
I would expect the defense authorization bill, typically it's enacted by year's end. And not the fiscal year, the calendar year.
December.
Right. I would think by year's end.
Okay, very interesting stuff. So by the year's end, we could actually get UFO whistleblower protection. What will that mean? Who knows? As he says, we, the public, are not likely to see any of that. That is going to go to, directly to the higher-ups that are managing the U.A.P. issue. Hopefully Arrow, I guess I need to call it Arrow. Hopefully with a different head of that program than the one appointed by Bray and Moultrie. Am I getting their names right? The heads of the U.A.P. task force, because they are carrying out the same sort of lying and obfuscation that the government has historically employed with the UFO issue. So I don't trust those guys, and I would not trust any body that they appointed to oversee this issue. They would simply be carrying out the government's narratives on this issue. So hopefully with this new language for Arrow and this new, the parameters of the program, hopefully that also means a new head of the program will come into play. And when that happens, the UFO whistleblowers will go directly to him or his people or her. So, so I really hope that happens. However, if it does happen, we, the public, need to know this stuff. I mean, they don't have to tell us the classified parts of it, obviously, but this is theoretically a government of the people and for the people and by the people. And if they're withholding this stuff from us, it doesn't make me feel very warm and fuzzy. So, so good news, guardedly good news. It looks very strong that legislation will go forward and that we will get UFO, U.A.P. whistleblower protection in the very near future. And they will be able to, relay that to the higher-ups, and hopefully they can do something with that information, and hopefully they can trickle that down to us, common folk, and let us know what the hell is going on as much as they can. But yeah, they won't be able to talk to reporters or anything like that. At least not about the classified stuff. It's possible they could talk about the non-classified version of the events. I'm not holding my breath on that. At another point in the interview, he does touch upon, the whole breakaway civilization, if you will, the secret UFO programs that the government either has or is tangentially associated with, because a lot of it seems to have moved into the private sector. I say a lot of it because if the deep underground military bases are true and legit, and there's a good amount of evidence to suggest that they are, then the government itself is still heavily involved in the UFO issue, and it's not all at Lockheed Martin or wherever. Anyway, he suggests that those programs might exist. He says that people that he knows and respects do believe that they exist, but he is not suggesting that himself. He also didn't take the bait when Linda started to talk about cattle mutilations. She says if they're all connected, and he says, well, that's a big if. So, he's not going to go there, at least not publicly, and that's fine. He wants to make this issue as respectable as possible, as mainstream as possible, whether or not these other aspects of the phenomenon are true and real. He's not going to go there until, the public is ready for it at large. And, we in the UFO community are past ready for that. But, you've got to get the public at large ready for that. And at the moment, Chris Mellon and his people are the most respectable faces on this issue. And, there's only so far they can go without endangering that. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. That would be awesome. Please hit the subscribe button and the bell to be notified of future videos. There's social media links below. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter. That'd be really, really cool. Trying to grow this platform. There is a PayPal button below if you wanted to support the channel. That would be super cool. Until next time, Cosmic Road out.